I have with me this morning the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Mr. Garba Shehu. You're very welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, Ajuri. I appreciate it.
I know you, of course, listened to the submission of Captain Umar, essentially questioning the level of resolution and commitment of the federal government to address the security challenges in the country. What is your response?
Well, Captain Umar has enchanted me, and I believe millions of Nigerians, with his views over time, speaking intelligently on security matters, giving solutions that are beneficial to the country. I think today he has done something that is kind of extraordinary. I reject his insertion that the political will is absent to deal with this situation. That's why there is political will, because there are criminal prosecutions going on in Benue State. And for the records, you know that Benue State is certified as being peaceful now. Communities that had been ejected and sent to IDP camps are going back, and the military is largely involved in the provision of basic necessities of life, including boreholes, so that life will go on. Even southern Kaduna, it's been said that it has stabilized for some time. In fact, the introductory part, Gimba said it earlier on, after many years of peace, and this has suddenly come up. So it isn't correct to say that there is no political will. The political will is there, and this is why Zamfara, has been restored to peace. Some incidents now going to Sokoto, and all of those things have been tackled. The solutions he has offered disturbed me more than any other thing, because he seems to be suggesting measures we have seen elsewhere that don't seem to be working, a resort to right-wing extremism, as you've seen in the Philippines, and now possibly in Brazil as they go into elections, and so on. You don't say you will kill people because they will kill. No, they have to go through a judicial process.
When you look at the larger issue of presidential body language across issues, I mean, we're talking about security now, but this notion that's out there that the president is somehow permissive of things that a president and commander-in-chief should not be permissive of, that perception that's out there can somehow feels, the insurgents, feels criminal elements within the country to do as they please, thinking that nothing will happen to them. Do you think that that should be a cause for concern, that there is a perception out there that the president simply is either slow to respond or even permissive to some of the things that are going on in the country right now?
It's a perception that is absolutely wrong. And I think that it shouldn't be sustained. This is a country that is governed by a constitution. And there is only so much that the president can do without breaching the constitution itself. Agencies under the president, the police, army, and other security agencies can go out there and make arrests. And they can charge to court. Beyond that, it's no longer in their own realm. So therefore, you must be careful you don't also invite a situation in which leaders of government would think that they have a duty to call judges and tell them what to do, or to even order executions, as is being suggested. So therefore, we just have to work with, if there's a problem, let's say it's a systemic problem. And I think that there is a sense that everyone is getting around to the sense that all of these matters, criminality and corruption and all of these things, that it isn't just up to President Buhari sitting in Aso Rock to solve every problem, but that and the judiciary is coming around. So we are seeing changes that are happening in the country.
No, but you would agree with many of our viewers watching the idea that indeed, while the president can't address every problem in the country, certainly he can address the problems that are within his purview. And certainly by doing so, an example is set for the rest of the country to follow. And the questions have been raised about his handling of certain issues, particularly when if we talk about corruption and the will to do what is right, even when it's hard. When you look at what's going on right now, obviously the controversy around the Minister of Communications and whether or not he has an NYSC discharge certificate, and the fact that he's continued in office despite publicly admitting to not having that certificate. Why is it that there has not been a consequence for that, for example, and what message would that send to the country? These are some of the issues, and I would like you to respond.
Well, the president is a due process person. And no matter how you want to, make him to cross the lines of legality, you can't get the president to do that. You have cited specifically the case of the Minister of Communications. I have no defense for why he doesn't have an NYSC certificate. I have served myself with all of the risks and everything that is involved. It's for him to explain it out there. But you know that perhaps he, being a very smart lawyer also, has gotten the matter is somehow entangled as we speak now. It's not as straightforward as you would say it is, because he's in court as we speak now. And I can't say whether the president is waiting for the outcomes to be, but I guess that the president is very sensitive about one thing, about not crossing the lines of the judiciary and parliamentary responsibility.
When you look at the security situation around the country and you see a kind of what appears to be a pretty strong increase on the part of Boko Haram insurgents in leveling the kinds of attacks they've been leveling recently, it appears that the gains that have been made over the past several years are now being put into jeopardy. Why is this happening, and how is the federal government responding to it? Has it been effective enough?
No, but it is not correct to say that there is an increase in Boko Haram terrorism. Yes, there are incidents that have happened. There are incidents that could still happen while the effort is ongoing, to clean it up.
No, let me be clear, Mr. Shehu. I'm referring to the recent increase in frequency of the last, say, 3 months, particularly relative to how it has been for the last 2 years before then.
Well, if you say 3 months, I will tell you that we're just coming out now of the growing season. And the military have said it many times in the past, that in fact, at some point, they had even set targets for them to finish up Boko Haram before the rains came. And of course, unfortunately, that didn't happen. But the rains and the growth, the bushes and the thickness of the forest, they complicate things for the military. There's no doubt about that. But as we're coming out of this, you can see that also these things are easing up. Visibility improves. It's a wide Sahel anyway. And you can see far distances, and the aircraft up there in the sky can see and monitor and report to ground forces. So the challenges, the environment has an impact also on how these challenges are confronted. In 2017, it's on record that there are 80% less incidents of killing by Boko Haram than we had in 2015. It's not controversial at all.
Looking at the broader issues of how the security agencies are handling kind of the multiplicity of crises around the country at the moment, what is your assessment of the relationship between police action and military action in this regard? Controversy has been raised in recent days about whether or not the military is infringing on the functions of the police in the apprehension of criminal elements across these various theaters. Is the synergy amongst these agencies, is it enough? Has it gone far enough? Is it advanced enough to get the kinds of solutions that we're all looking for?
The sense I have is that, that ordinarily the military should not even be out there on the streets. The fact that they are in about 32, 33 states of the Federation carrying out routine policing duties is a matter for concern, even for the military. I'm not sure they like doing that themselves. The question of is there a synergy? Yes, there is synergy because the military do come in where the police is challenged, and apparently they don't seem to be in a position to cope. This country's armed forces are up and doing, they are out there. All of these theaters, even Southern Kaduna, we just discussed now. I'm aware that the Air Force has sent in spy planes, and they are, reporting, movements and informing ground troops, mainly military and the police, and so on. So everyone is doing their part. That's how we did it in Zamfara. That's how they did it. Now they are talking of, the formation of special forces in many of these places, explosive areas. Special forces made up of all of the units involved in fighting criminality in the country. Everyone is there, Navy, Air Force, police, civil defense, and even the international arm of security, which is the NIA. They are all involved, and everyone is playing their part.